The Enzian, named for a genus of mountain flower, in English the gentian, was a German World War II surface-to-air anti-aircraft missile that was the first to use a radio-controlled guidance system. During the missile's development in the late stages of the war, it was plagued by organizational problems and was cancelled before becoming operational. Development. As early as 1943 it was becoming clear Messerschmitt's Me-163 interceptor would be difficult to use in combat. After flying to the 25,000-30,000 feet, 7,609,100 m, altitude of Allied bombers, it had only a few minutes to find them and make an attack before running out of fuel. Even if the aircraft did accomplish this, it then had the additional problem of lacking a weapon that could be aimed effectively while closing on the target at some 400 miles per hour, 640 kilometers per hour, 350 knots. Dr. Worster of Messerschmitt proposed an answer in the form of Flak Raket 1, FR1, in 1943. Instead of tracking down the planes, the rocket would fly just in front of the target and then detonate a 500 kilograms, 1,100 pounds, warhead, in the hope of bringing down several bombers at once. With no human pilot on board, and thus no need to limit takeoff acceleration, the rocket could use solid fuel boosters, 4 Schmitting 109 to 553s, for a total of 7,000 kilograms, 15,000 pounds, thrust, grouped around the exterior, reducing the amount of fuel needed for the rest of the climb by the sustainer motor, a Walter RI-10B. The liquid-fueled sustainer used a combination of SV Stoff and BR Stoff, petrol, catalyzed by an amount of T Stoff. The result, even with the heavy warhead, was that a much smaller airframe was needed to carry the required fuel, so small it could be portable and launched from a modified 88 mm gun mounting. The design made as much use of wood as possible, due to the need to conserve other strategic materials in the rapidly deteriorating war situation. For the same reasons, a new type of Walter rocket was envisioned, a modification of the engine in the Me-163 that would burn coal gas, benzene, instead of the hydrogen peroxide used in other Walter designs, although a small amount of peroxide was used to drive the fuel pumps. Thrust was also reduced in flight, from 2,000 kilograms, 4,409 pounds, to 1,000 kilograms, 2,205 pounds. The missile, which strongly resembled the Me-163, with swept wings and elevons, would be guided primarily under radio control from the ground. The operator would fly the missile into the vicinity of the bombers, then cut the engine and let it glide. This presented a real problem in the Enzian. Other German missiles were high-speed designs that could be flown directly at their target along the line of sight, which is fairly straightforward even for an operator on the ground. The Enzian would instead be approaching its target from somewhere in front, which is considerably harder for the operator. Many experiments with radio and wire-guided missiles had demonstrated real problems with last-minute terminal guidance corrections. The initial plans for solving this problem were rather advanced. The large airframe left plenty of room in the nose, which the designers intended to fill with a self-contained radar unit called LSAS. In the short term, it was planned to use some sort of proximity fuse while flying the missile through the bomber stream. The warhead, of which several were studied, was to have a nominal lethal radius of 45 m, 49 yd. Several elaborations of the basic design were carried out, resulting in the FR1 through FR5. The FR5 was considered to be a reasonable starting point, so development commenced on the newly named Enzian E.1, and its engine, in September 1943. By May 1944, 60 airframes were complete, awaiting their engines. In order to gain flight test data, they were fitted with RATO units instead. A series of 38 flight tests commenced with generally favorable results, but the engine still lagged. Finally, Dr. Conrad, the designer of the engine of the Rheintochter missile, was asked to modify his design for use in the Enzian. On consideration, it appeared this was a much better, and cheaper, solution anyway, and after January 1945 there were no plans to use the Walter design. The resulting E4 version with the Conrad engine was considered the production version. Because of difficulties in perfecting the proximity fuse, an infrared homing system, Madrid, was proposed, allowing Enzian to be flown right to the target. However, the system was never actually developed beyond a test bench mock-up. On January 17, 1945, all development projects were cancelled by the Luftwaffe in order to concentrate all possible efforts on only two designs, the Messerschmitt Me 262 and the Heinkel He 162. Although this was the official story, many in the Nazi and Luftwaffe hierarchy had their own pet projects continue. Enzian was judged further from completion than Henschel's Schmetterling missile, so it was cancelled. Messerschmitt engineers continued some low-level work on the project, hoping it would be refunded, but by March it was clear the cancellation order would not be rescinded, although it had been for other designs, and all development efforts ceased. Survivors. Only 2 Enzian missiles are known to have survived the war. One is on display at the Royal Air Force Museum Cofford and the other is in storage at the Australian War Memorial after being displayed for many years at the Royal Australian Air Force Museum. Cultural references. Enzian is the name of the foil character in Thomas Pynchon's Gravity's Rainbow, contrasted against the main character Slothrop's association with the V2.
Please subscribe and thanks for watching.